Today what we're going to cover is planning and preparation towards a PowerPoint presentation. We're going to focus on that as an individual but also as a group. So hey, you will have a group presentation. So I know you have a couple of assignments coming up relatively soon where you're going to be presenting as a group. I think you also have an online one as well that you have to work towards. So today, what Hughes wants and what we in Academic Skills want is to help develop those skills and take the nerves away and come up with ways and procedures that you can kind of remove the nerves and make it a bit more confident. So we're going to go through structure and evidence. So again, like all your academic work, your essays and reports, you have to make sure it's evidence-based. So you're going to be going through referencing. So we'll cover how to reference slides and how to reference for your PowerPoint presentation. Visual aids, again, for your PowerPoint presentation, you want to make sure that you're using other forms to communicate your message and not just relying on your vocal skills, because again, if you're nervous, they may not develop and not be showcased. So we're going to go through visual aids as well. Delivery, again, practicing how to deliver, kind of projecting your voice and other skills that you don't necessarily do in everyday life, and you definitely don't do with academic skills unless it's a PowerPoint presentation or a poster presentation. So we're going to go through some delivery skills and dealing with nerves as well. So we're going to go through all this today, and at the end, as I mentioned, we're going to get a PowerPoint presentation or actually be a poster presentation in small groups. So everyone will talk for about 4 or 5 minutes in the group. And again, this is going to help towards your assignments that you have coming up. So, oral presentations. So a means of communicating information. So as I mentioned, initially you may consider that to be communicating vocally, but as we'll go through the slides, and what we'll discover is that predominantly it's going to be what's actually on the content on your slides. So in essence, it's not all about you. So again, this is kind of where a lot of the nerves will come from, where you consider all the pressure's on me, everything's focused on me. If you can divert that focus onto the slides, onto the information that you're trying to communicate, again, it can help alleviate the nerves. And it's about planning as well. Essentially for you guys in your coming assignments, it's about planning as a group. So we'll go through some ways you can plan as a group. That will help, again, have a really clear, concise presentation. So, we're going to go through this kind of step by step as the workshop progresses, and towards the end, we'll kind of bring it all together and have a nice quick summary as well. So you're going to pick apart the presentation topic. So again, you may have already started this in groups or as an individual. We'll pick apart the presentation topic using the assessment brief. So whatever your module leader is looking for, and essentially what they're looking for, but also what you want to present as well by using the brief. So we're going to do that through focusing on the question that needs to be answered, the key points within that you need to cover, and also what are the complicated issues. Again, when you're trying to project and you're trying to vocalize your information, sometimes, especially when you're nervous, you can forget and you'll overlook the complicated issues. So that's where we're going to use your slides and the visual aids to do so. So, marked as groups, we know that you're going to be doing some group work. Again, will that be marked as a group or an individual? Is it broken down to individual performance, or are you going to be marked as a group as whole? Usually speaking, generally it's going to be marked as a group and you all get the same mark, which can have issues. But ultimately you can turn it on its head and you can use it as a positive as well. So if everyone prepares in advance, you can all get a really good mark. Does everyone need to speak? Generally speaking, that's a yes, so everyone will need to contribute. And for how long? If you have a 20-minute presentation, again, you want to make sure that you can stand for 5 minutes and speak freely. Touch a little bit on critical analysis, not so much today, but again, we'll have a little bit on critical analysis. Also, what the marker's looking for is that theory, but also evidence-based. So again, just because it's a PowerPoint presentation or you may be presenting a poster, doesn't necessarily mean you don't use evidence, you don't use references and citations. So again, we're going to cover that as well. And also, understanding and creativity. Again, when you're presenting your information, you can often consider that your academic skills and the skills that you'll use and the information that you would present when you're doing lab reports or essays, that they're not really applicable, but essentially they are. So you want to make sure you show your understanding and also you're creative in doing so. And again, that kind of links back into your visual aids as well, to make sure you can kind of creatively express your opinions and your data. And some other stuff we're going to cover, but again, We'll go through that as well. So, collecting your ideas. So you're going to have different ways of doing so, and I'm sure you've come across these kind of graphics before. But essentially everyone's different. So for some people, if you're using a mind map, it just looks cluttered, confusing, and it's not really for you. Some people may prefer a linear fashion where you may have an introduction, you go slide by slide and topic by topic. Essentially, they're the same ways of planning and structuring your presentations. But again, there will be differences, so again, you don't need to get caught up with what type of person am I. As long as you plan and you put an effective way in place beforehand, essentially that's what you're looking for. So again, we're going to do a little bit of this in group work and for your first task today, first activity. So, it's been a bit top heavy so far, it's been a lot of kind of talking for me. We're almost there at the first activity where we can kind of interact and come up with some ideas. But essentially, so we're planning for the audience. So who's the audience going to be? Essentially, you're going to be for sports and exercise science students. People of a similar level to you, so that's what the content you'll be looking for. Equally then, you're going to ask yourself, what do they already know? If you're a little bit more advanced, you may have to not necessarily discuss the starting issues, you may have more complex issues again. But as soon as your first year, you want to make sure that you cover all bases and treat everyone as being kind of equal and their knowledge as being equal as well. What they want to know, again, your findings, the information you're trying to communicate. So they want to know the data you're presenting, the topic you're presenting in an interesting, kind of an informative manner as well. That's reference and evidence-based. And the purpose, again, to get your message across. So you want to get your message across clear and concisely as possible and get the top marks. So the purpose will be for you to achieve the best marks and use the skills that you to do so. So then kind of summarize these. Again, it all links in for you guys for a group presentation. And usually group work is the hardest form of work you can do in university. If you have a lab report or an essay, group work can be a bit of a nightmare. Trying to organise it, trying to get people to contribute. But for presentations, it's almost the complete opposite. That burden is then spread equally between everyone else. Everyone's going to have to present for a certain amount of time. So you can use that as kind of a way of supporting yourself. And ultimately, you're going to be responsible for your own actions and the way you present. If someone doesn't contribute or doesn't plan in advance, again, that's not going to be your responsibility. So group work can be kind of equalizer in effect compared to other academic work. So, essential group skills, again, this is kind of a broad generalization for all academic skills, all work you're going to do in university. So trust, again, pretty straightforward. Do you trust everyone to work independently and together as a group? And do you trust them with maybe confident of private matters or whatever it may be, but do you trust them essentially? Coaching, again, people are going to learn from you, you're going to learn from other people. It's not an essential skill, necessarily speaking, but again, you're going to learn and pick up stuff, and especially for group work, you may look at how someone approaches it, how someone presents, the techniques they use, you may learn how they put their PowerPoint slides together and other skills. So it's going to be an element of coaching within there. Sharing information, again, flexibility can be difficult. Everyone has different workloads, different study patterns as well, and you have to try and flexibly meet and cooperate and make sure that you get the work done. Good manners, you can get really rude emails or people will ignore emails and so on. So again, essential for good group work. And group ground rules as well. If you can make ground rules beforehand, before you meet up as a group, for example, when you're going to meet, who's going to do which load, if you can delegate the information, the workload as well, it can often help to kind of be more productive and more efficient. So we're almost there. What we do have now is kind of the skills that you will need and you will have to kind of use when you're doing your group work. So you have like goal setting and based management of time, but also resources as well. So again, there's a lot that goes into doing a good group presentation. But as I kind of mentioned again, we're going to go through that in structure and the content that you need, but essentially you need everyone to be pointing in the same direction and the same kind of ethos. So, in small groups, so we're saying groups, how many do we have? Maybe groups of 5 or 6. We're going to go through and hand out some paper, and if you can come up with a topic that you may have all of a shared interest in, so it could be sports and exercise science, or it could be kind of anything. In previous workshops, people have gone through food or Edinburgh or so on. But just come up with a shared topic, and we're going to go back and use those mind mapping techniques where you're going to come up with information. And if you can write them down with a subtopic for every individual in the group, we'll spend 5 or 6 minutes on this, getting organised. And is everyone okay with that? Yes, we are. So this is kind of what you're going to be looking for. So you want to think about the main message from your topic, how many sections of your topic, so you're saying one subsection each, and how to signpost. So signposting really how you'd refer and how each topic will run smoothly into the next topic. Okay, so myself and Angus are going to go around with these posters. So if you get yourself into groups of 5 or 6.
Should I make a hangover? That's pretty much right.
But then breakfast comes under hangover food as well. If it's a full English, you're just having cereal. Then. These are really good.
What is it called? Yorkshire pudding.